Hello and welcome to another edition of Monday BJJ with me, your host, Brian. In today's episode, I'm going to commentate a sparring session where I made the decision to roll with 3 brown belts in a row. My first opponent uses a very defensive style. He prefers to exploit my weaknesses. You can see that he lets me onto his back because he knows that he can defend his neck and prevent me from getting hooks in. So do I really have his back? Now he's able to stand up because I'm not pressuring and controlling him very much. I'm able to bring him back down, but I overbalance and he's able to counter throw me off to one side. I fall into the defensive posture and try to regain my top arm from the arm bar that he's setting up. It's hard for me to see from this angle if I fight it off or if he just doesn't go for it, but he tries different moves before getting to my back. You can't really see it from this angle, but we're doing a lot of hand fighting and he's just working to try to get my arms loose, and I'm trying to get away from him, and he's able to start setting up hooks by stepping around me, but by rolling to the opposite side, I basically nullify the hook on that side. It really turns more into a mount, but since I'm on my side, he's not exactly in mount. This time he is able to grab sort of the back of my gi, and his arm's underneath me enough that he's able to pull me up. And once I'm in this position, my feet get too far out in front of me and separate from my elbows, and he's able to get the hook in. And then from there, he's just able to work the other hook in over the top of my arm. And as I turn, he tries to turn it into a bow and arrow style choke. I'm just barely able to get out of the hooks and get my legs out. But he ties up my arm and gets into a side control here. And I'm struggling on the bottom to keep him off me. And then he does this sort of backwards mount transition, and I try to pull him onto myself, but he's able to scoot his hips back onto my chest, and from there he transitions to the opposite side control, and he captures my arm, and while I'm fighting off the arm, I leave my head up too high, and so he's able to grab my neck. I am able to somewhat scramble out of the position, doing some more transitions. He gets my arm again, and then I'm able to kind of sneak it out. He does a neat transition there. I'm trying to use this defensive posture as he adjusts to sort of save energy and not wind up being quite so exhausted. And here he captures my neck and is using sort of a cross face to push me over. And I try to transition belly down, and he grabs my head and then switches to a north-south choke. He transitions out of the north-south choke, tries to do a mount transition, and sort of falls onto the side control, and captures my head and does a cradle submission. My second partner uses an explosive and agile style. You wouldn't know it since he lets me start in top side control. As I try to transition to mount, he slips an arm in behind my leg and is able to pull himself out the back, and I have to readjust. We wind up off camera. I overbalance once again, and he backs in and underneath me to knock me over and take a top side control. He's able to prevent me from connecting my knees and my elbows, and so he captures my arm first and then my neck, and I try to slip out, but that doesn't really work. He sort of stands me up, and I'm trying to duck my head out the back here. But I have to tap. We regrip, start a new round. He gets butterfly hooks in me and throws me. I readjust to try to get on top, and he ties up my arm. I try to pass, and I get pulled over to the side. And then from here, we wind up kind of rolling off camera again. He lets me get up a little bit, and I'm working a guard pass. And then I fall into a triangle. I try and stack him up, but he has it locked up really tight, and as I walk my legs too close, he's able to pull me over. We reset, and he engages. I attempt to pull his feet off, and he re-engages with his legs. I try to get him out of the way, but I get him tangled in my gi. He ties up my other leg and pulls himself onto my back. You can see here he keeps cutting an angle, and I keep missing the adjustment. So here we're tangled up legs. He pulls himself onto my back. I try to go to the defensive posture, but he's already got a hook in, and he gets one of my arms and my neck and begins a choke. So yeah, arm across my own throat, begins a choke. I convince him to let me escape, and he pressures me some more. We fall into a north-south choke. Yeah, he starts pulling out his lapels, so I'm basically running for my life and trying more defensive things from top side control, trying to get my legs onto his hips, trying to turn any direction. And here he goes north-south. I try to get my arm out of the way to relieve some of the pressure, but it just makes the choke last a bit longer. We tie up again, and again I'm looking for a way to disengage from his legs, but once he's got one of my sleeves, that makes it a lot more difficult. He adjusts his hooks and throws me again, and catches me and drops me into the armbar for the finish of this round. My third opponent is similar to my first opponent in that he prefers the slow and controlled style of rolling. He applies pressure and releases in a very controlled way. We tie up and work some standing game. I try a few throw attempts and trip attempts before he counters my trip. Once we fall into the trip, I realize I do have a moment here where I have a butterfly hook and my leg on the outside. So I try to sweep, but he's already moved past the point of where that sweep will be useful. I try and keep the half guard, but he passes by pressuring on my foot so that I can't use it. Once he gets around, I switch to my defensive posture, and he's trying to keep my legs and my knees apart. So I switch into turtle, and I attempt to back out and make space. He keeps his grips on me, and I have to roll out of choke. He continues to pressure and attack my arms. I do get an arm between us to try to make an explosive reversal, but it was neither explosive nor a reversal. He applies the knee on belly, and I attempt to just sit here and experience the pain for a little bit before I try to make a move. Trying to get comfortable with being in positions rather than just immediately seeking to transition. I'm able to transition to turtle and try to finish a takedown. He throws me somewhat over, but there's a wall just beside us that kind of prevents me from going all the way over and allows me to land in the guard rather than having him finish me in the mount. I try to keep pressuring him and keep his arms off me, but staying low, he is able to push me down and across and angle himself. And eventually here he climbs up onto my back. And this is why underhooks are very important from the guard. And here he sets up the choke, and he lets it go before fully taking my back and going for another submission. And then letting that one go. And hitting another submission. After that, he decides to let me take topside control, and he practices the defensive posture that we've been working on. I have a bit more practice with the defensive posture than he has, and so I attack him by rolling him backwards towards his back to try to expose his arm or his neck, and I wind up letting my arm get captured under him, but we still have some decent moments of back and forth, and he doesn't let me pull him over again. I keep pressure on him, and we just kind of struggle for the last few moments. I try to step over his head to use my legs to leverage his arms. Doesn't really do much because he's still fighting me with his hands and whatnot. But all in all, these were some good defensive rounds. We were all kind of practicing this new defensive posture. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.